Hmm. Hi. So, trauma musings, I guess, is what this series should be called. It occurred to me earlier this week when I was talking to some folks that I don't really explain what trauma season means. It's clearly not really a season, or it wouldn't normally be. Folks who have PTSD usually have like a traumatic event or maybe even like a period in time that was traumatic for them, like in their life. For me, it's been multiple traumas over multiple years, different types of trauma. With different relationships. It's why it's called complex PTSD or CPTSD, which makes it slightly different in that it's not quite as easy to treat, or it's harder to sort of wrap your mind around because complex PTSD usually develops from sort of life trauma. A lot of the traumatic events in my life came from relationships. I've talked about losing my partner. I haven't talked so much about some of the other traumas, including domestic violence and stalking. Um, it's hard to talk about those, partially because I don't really want to draw the attention of my stalker, who will say I'm not a stalker. Why am I laughing about that? Because it's uncomfortable. It's difficult. Humor is often how people process difficult things. So why do I call it trauma season? I have a cluster of really significant kind of life changing events that occurred at ironically very different points in my life. Some in my early, or I should say late teens, early 20s, some in my 30s, and then others in my 40s. So, but all sort of between January and like May. Wow, that's a long spread, but it's actually true. So, but March in particular and May in particular are really tough months. Just some really, in April, gosh, I say it like, because April's when I lost Jim, but there's a lot related to the stalking. There's a lot in March and May. Unpacking this is tough. And I want to talk a little bit about why that is too, but yeah, let's start there. Stalking. That's a tough one, mostly because how do you know when it's over? Hoping it is. Hoping I'm not opening a door, but I need to talk about my reality, regardless of whether or not the other person feels that way. This is what it was like for me. Um, I had been in a relationship that was really unhealthy for a very long time. It was very physically abusive. Um, some very difficult things happened in that relationship that were very emotionally scarring. Some were actually physically. Um, hmm. And when I ended that relationship, the other party didn't take it very well. And for several years, continued to reach out less periodically over time, but this actually happened in 2008, and the last time I heard from the person was in 2017. Um, hmm. And so because it wasn't a stranger stalking, it was a prior relationship. I actually had a lot of insight into the reality of what that person might be capable of at that time. I'm not saying they would be now. Um, I'm not saying I just don't want to invite issues. But it was life altering for me. Um, when someone makes you fear for your life and fear for the life and safety of your children, it's never a joke. Never. It's never taken too realistically, right? Like, I'm sorry, but it's just not. And, after the physical abuse that I had, survived up until that point, I wasn't about to take a chance. So we got out of there. It started in March of 2008, and we moved by May of 2008, which is why this time of year is really incredibly hard for me. It was terrifying. And it all started March 15th. So that is a trauma anniversary for me. A big one. So, why am I talking about it? Because things in the dark are terrifying, right? Things that we run from, things that we avoid. Post-traumatic stress disorder and CPTSD in particular is all about avoidance. I've spent most of my life trying to make sure that no one knew about what was going on in my life. Sometimes successfully, other times not so much. And it didn't serve me well. I see the phrase "we recover out loud" for those who still suffer in silence, and I take that very seriously. A long time ago, when I was first leaving back in 2008, I was going to some support group meetings at a women's program in Vermont. And I remember the facilitator of that group telling me that I had a voice, I had the ability to tell a story, um, to share things that other people who experience what I have experienced could not, in a way that helped other people understand it, um, and see it from a different perspective. So it's taken me from 2008 till now. My heart is going a million miles an hour, I gotta say. But I'm doing it and I'm pushing through it. For all of you out there dealing with domestic violence, find support. Lean into those people who are reaching out to you, because they're there. I promise they're there somewhere. Let someone know. Someone you trust. Keep asking till you find someone. Believe that you deserve better. That more than anything. But know that when you get on the other side of it, even if you have to deal with stalking like I did, there is help. You can get through it. You can survive it. You can thrive in spite of it. That's why I'm doing this. So yeah, that's another part of my trauma story and another part of what this time of year is about for me. So thank you for being a part of my healing and for letting me just talk about what this is like, because it's hard. It's hard. But we do recover. Keep going. Don't ever give up. Never give up. Ever. Thanks.